Hey everyone, this is Ethan Sears coming to you live from Milan, where the men's hockey tournament at the Olympic Games is going to start up tomorrow with Slovakia, Finland, and Sweden, Italy. Just here's some things I'm going to be looking for in those games, as well as maybe the tournament at large. Number one, Juraj Slafkovsky's Olympic debut. So that Slovakia-Finland game that's going to kick off the Olympics tomorrow afternoon here and tomorrow morning back in the States. That's a really interesting one to me. It's an immediate test of a team that was at Four Nations last year against a really good team that was not in best on best competition last year, wasn't invited to Four Nations, and with someone who really could be a breakout star of this tournament in Slafkovsky. If you're from New York and maybe you haven't watched the Canadians that much this year, Slafkovsky's number one overall pick in 2022 and is just having a terrific year on a really good Montreal team. He's got 45 points in 57 games, 21 goals, 24 assists. He's already coming up on his point total from last year, 51. Those are, superstar number one overall pick kind of numbers. And an interesting thing, too, he actually has some Olympic experience because in 2022 in Beijing, he wasn't in the NHL. So he could go play for Slovakia. He had 7 points in 7 games in that tournament, has really sort of catapulted himself into just being a huge deal and a face of hockey in that country. He's going to be on the top line for Slovakia in this tournament. He's someone who, kind of as they go, the team is going to go. And, Finland was probably a pretty clear 4 out of 4 at Four Nations. They're probably the most vulnerable of those teams. So if Slafkovsky can get going tomorrow, I wouldn't be surprised if we see kind of an early upset there. Number 2, Gabriel Landeskog being back with Team Sweden. Everyone kind of knows by now just how hard Landeskog has worked and sort of his story over the last few years. He's been in and out of Colorado's lineup, but mostly out of it since March of 2022. A lot of issues with his knee. He missed a total of 1,020 days in between games after the 2022 playoffs, when he was already kind of gritting through a knee injury during that Stanley Cup run. Made it back for the playoffs last year. He's played 41 games with Colorado. Obviously wasn't able to play the Four Nations last year, so we haven't seen him with Sweden in a best-on-best tournament since the 2016 World Cup. He's probably only going to have a fourth-line role just based on what we've seen in practices, but he's wearing the C for them. He's a heart and soul guy, and it's just a terrific story to see him in Milan, and someone who could have a really big impact even in limited minutes. Number 3, just in general, is how are these coaches going to weigh sort of recent form versus a guy's history? And that's, in particular, it's going to show up with goaltending. As you would expect, basically every team has kept their cards close to the chest on who they're going to start. A few really interesting ones. The most interesting one isn't tomorrow. It's going to be Thursday with Team Canada, kind of between Jordan Binnington and Logan Thompson there. But Sweden's got a really tough choice tomorrow with Philip Gustafsson, Jesper Wallstedt, and Jacob Markstrom, and so does Finland with Jussi Saros, Kevin Lankinen, and Jonas Korpisalo. So just to kind of use Finland as an example there, Saros has got the best career of those 3 guys. He's got a great track record, but he's also got a sub-900 save percentage this year. He was, frankly, pretty terrible at Four Nations last year. Was it 870 and almost 4 goals allowed average through the tournament. So how does that coaching staff kind of answer that question of, do you trust the guy who maybe the best, who has the best career out of those 3, or do you go with a guy who, what have you done for me lately, and who's been playing well lately? Similar with Finland, right? Jacob Markstrom is the most veteran of those guys. He also wasn't at Four Nations last year. He's not having a great year with the Devils. And, Gustafsson and Wallstedt, they've been splitting the net in Minnesota. They've both been playing really well. So how do you sort of balance that throughout the tournament? That's going to be a really interesting thing to see, not just with these teams, with every team. And, you can kind of extend that into the lineup as a whole. in some of these situations, right? With Team USA, how are they going to use guys like JT Miller? With Team Canada, maybe Brad Marchand's that guy you look at as, he's got this great history. That's kind of the main reason he's here. So how much are you trusting that versus maybe a guy like Seth Jarvis or Sam Bennett, who are probably having better years right now? Even with Sweden tomorrow, maybe Gabriel Landeskog is a guy who, we talked about earlier, but maybe he's someone you sort of look at in that sense. And some of those decisions are, I think, going to have a really big bearing on how the tournament goes and could sort of make or break teams. So that's something that I think the early signs on that are going to be really interesting to break down and dissect. And we'll be here in Milan to do it. Myself and Molly Walker, we've got sort of blanket coverage of this whole tournament. And we're just excited to be kicking off and starting here.